How are you, my dear class 8 English version students? In the previous class, we have also started our new topics. Basically, it's not also new topics. It's also interesting topics. The topic's name is the outer space and the satellites. Today I have also selected basically two structures, two categories. One structure is the natural satellites and another is the artificial satellites. Yes, the natural satellites it's also the lesson 3 and the artificial satellites it's also the lesson 4. Here's the natural planet or the satellites. I have just drawn a figure again. It's also the figure. The main structure is the sun and then the first structure is the Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and the Neptune. Now, please everyone see the books. Now, natural planets or satellites. The galaxy to which we belong, is the Milky Way. In this Milky Way, the Sun is located along with its family members. Yes, it's also located the Sun, and here this structure is the family members. Again, and the family members they together from the solar system where 8 planets are revolving round the Sun. Here's the 8 planets, first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and they are also revolving with the Sun. And the revolving, these planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and the Neptune. Some of the planets have more than one satellite. The objects which hover around the planets are called the satellites. Please again, everyone underline this line. Basically, the objects which revolve around the planets are called the satellites. For example, the moon is revolving around the earth and the earth satellite. So the earth is a planet of the sun and the moon is a satellite of the earth. Here's my dear students, I have just also write the structure is the earth is also one. Basically it has only the one satellite. Here's the earth, they have also the one satellite. The another called is name is the moon. Again, the earth is a planet of the sun and the moon is a satellite of the earth. Do the activity. Again, my dear students, where did planets and satellites come from? Have you any question and also any idea? Where did planets and satellites come from? Scientists think that the sun, the planets and their satellites are formed from a huge cloud of gas in the dust around 4,500 million years ago. A star near the cloud exploded, making the cloud spin. As the cloud spun around the star together to form lumps. In the time the stars crashed into each other the end that formed satellites. The cloud in the same way are gathered into lump around the planets to form their satellites. The planets and satellites do not radiate light or heat because they are not big enough to start nuclear reaction. As happened in stars, sunlight is reflected falling on them. The earth has one satellite. Again, the earth has one satellite and the Mars has the 2 satellites. Jupiter has the 67 satellites. Saturn has the 62 satellites. Uranus has 27 satellites and the Neptune has the 24 satellites. Yes, they have more and more the satellites. Again, they revolve round the planets due to the influence of the force of gravity of their respective planets. Again, another structure and another lesson, the artificial satellites and history of their development. Now we are going to the history of their development. A similar body orbiting a larger one, usually a planet, is called a satellite. An artificial satellite is a space vehicle designed to orbit a large body, usually the Earth. The Moon is a natural satellite of our Earth. An artificial satellite is much smaller than the Moon and moves in a much smaller orbit. Have you know what's the orbit? Basically, this structure is the another chord is the orbit. Again, the orbit again for every orbit there must be a definite outward centrifugal acceleration of the satellite to balance the inward attraction due to gravity. For this, the velocity of a satellite is smaller when its distance from the Earth is larger. It then takes more time to complete one revolution round the Earth. We know that the Earth revolves on its axis once in 24 hours. Again, if an artificial satellite revolves around the Earth in 24 hours, it will appear to be at rest with respect to the Earth. The history of artificial satellites is not very old. Yes, the first journey into the outer space was initiated by the Soviet Union on 4th October. It's also the historical date, the 4th October the 1957, when they sent the artificial satellite Sputnik 1. This pronunciation is the Sputnik 1. The meaning of the word Sputnik is traveling mate. In the same year, they sent Sputnik 2 on the 22nd December, 4th October and the 2nd December. It's also memorable with Soviet Union. The first American artificial satellite was the Explorer 1, which was launched on 2nd February 1958. Next year, Soviet Union established 1957 and the American they have also established the 1958 and their mission is the another name is the Explorer 1. And the Vostok 1 was the first manned space mission by Soviet Union, which carried the first person in space Yuri Gagarin on 12th April 1961. Valentina Tereshkova of USSR is the first woman who went to space on 16 June 1963 in the Vostok 6 in test flights. One was launched as communication satellite for commercial use. For remote sensing, the satellite CanSat 1 was launched in 1972. A satellite named Apollo-Soyuz test project was sent first on a mission in 1975 for international communication. Over 5,000 satellites have been launched to transmit telephone, radio and television signals around the world. Fewer than half are still orbiting and many have stopped working and are orbiting as space junk. My dear students, in the recent we have also established our first satellites. These satellites name is the Bangabandhu satellites. I think, my dear students, today I have also just select the natural satellites and also the artificial satellites. Here's the natural satellites and the artificial satellites. It's also the important question maybe for UPSC exam. Thanks, my dear students. Today I think that's all. Goodbye.